been a while since I made a video on this channel. I'd all but pretty much quit Valorant and like FPS games as a whole. I've just played them for so long, man. I've been playing them since I was like 12. I'm 25 now. I moved on to other games. But even though I played like mouse and keyboard FPS games my whole life, my friends didn't. Most of them had played console when they were younger. They played like League of Legends. The smarter ones played StarCraft. None of them played tac shooters. So they're now getting introduced to them in 2024. And it's pretty fun to see. Like I like queuing up with them. I like teaching them like the FPS basics. They teach me the Valorant basics, like why I can't flank without getting shot by a turret, or why this girl's jumping around with a damn RPG, or why I'm getting smoke, flash, concussed into a blind. Like just about all the shit that happens in Valorant and all the util and everything like that I'm not used to. So it's like a give and take exchange, and it's been really fun. So I've come back to playing Valorant, but coming back to Valorant, I realized that I'm a little bit older now, right? Things aren't the same as they were like a decade ago when I was playing Counter-Strike, which means some of my settings have to change, because I've noticed I have like some pain right here if I play like I used to, with like my wrist halfway off the table and all that stuff. So I've had to adjust. And the adjustment is that pretty much from the elbow up is on the desk now. It's all the way on the desk. I'm sitting with the top of my gut up against the desk as far forward as I can. Everything is on the desk because it's giving me the most stabilization, and my arm doesn't hurt over long periods of time if I play like that. But because I'm changing a lot of dynamics, I'm changing my arm position, I'm changing what part of the arm I'm using and when I'm using it. You still want to use all of your arm, right? You want to use your wrist and your forearm and then like your elbow and everything like that. But I'm just using different parts of it at different times, and that has led to some problems with my sensitivity. I know a lot of people are very apprehensive to change their sensitivity, which you should be, because you build up so much muscle memory, especially me, somebody who's like been playing for a long time on this sensitivity. But I know when my sense feels wrong and when I need to change, because I've just played with the same settings for so long. So that's what I did. I'll show you what I did. We use the PSA method. If you haven't seen this website before, all you do is type in, like, some people start with like 280 divided by their DPI will be their starting sense. Or some people like me will use their 360 sense. So all you do is take your mouse and put it in the top left corner of your mouse pad, then swipe it all the way to the top right, and you make it do a 360, and that is your 360 sense. That's where some people like to start. That's where I started, which was like 425. And then you see it gives you a calculation on the right, and you just test the lower and the higher sense in like a death match. I did it in a death match. Some people like to do it in the range. I think death match is better. And you just pick which one you like. So I think I went with the lower and the higher and whatever. You just click through it 7 times. And then at the end, it spits out your perfect sense. And you do it like maybe 2 or 3 times. But funny enough, I did not even go with the perfect sense. I went to something close to it, but I actually went with this one with 0.22, because I kept coming back to it, and I was like, I can't really decide if this is too low for me or not. So I kept going back to it and trying it again. And eventually I just got used to it, and I thought that it was really good. My original sense is usually 0.4. So this is cutting it almost in half. That is a very drastic change for me. I've never played at a sense this low. I tried it in CS a long time ago, because one of the pro players that I used to watch played on such a low sense that he would bind Q and E to turn binds. Like he would have to use Q and E to turn his character to get around the map, that his sense was so low. And I thought, well, if he's going to that extreme, like maybe there's something to this like lower sense, which there is, but not to that extreme. And even some people play on high sense. It's all preference at the end of the day. When you use this calculator, you have to be fucking honest with yourself, bro, because sometimes you'll get a high number and it'll be like 0.86. And you'll be like, oh, well, that's way too high, obviously. But then you try it and like, well, it's still better than like 0.18. And you really have to be honest with yourself and kind of put aside all the bias that you have from seeing whatever pro player settings have, or what your friends settings have, or what you used to have. And you have to figure out what works for you and your setup. But anyways, this video is about low sense and what I've been learning playing on a lower sense. I'm going to hop in the range here, and I'm going to show you some cool stuff. Now, first thing, since I'm going from a higher sense to a lower sense, you have to get used to moving your arm a lot more. And it's not something you're consciously doing. It's something like, I see a target and I need to allow myself to move my arm a little bit more than I'm used to. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel a little bit different. It's going to feel wrong. But once you get used to it, it's, you know, it's nothing crazy. You just get used to it. The only reason I would say to like take notice is if you're feeling like pain or discomfort. Don't play through the pain. That means you're probably causing damage. You should probably find a better way to position yourself or something like that. Something else that I noticed when I lowered my senses, my crosshair placement was already okay. Like I would always keep my crosshair head low and everything like that. But it becomes a lot easier when your sense is lower. For me personally, because I have a little bit of a shaky hand, and I find it harder to keep my crosshair steady and at head level when I'm on a higher sense. But when I'm on a lower sense, it feels fine. Like I can walk around like this all day. The other thing is if I'm holding an angle, like, I don't know, let's say I'm right here, on a higher sense, like 0.4 or something like that, which isn't, I don't think that's super high, but that's what I used to play on. I would always hold it really tight like this. I would always hold like this, which is just bad. I don't even know what you'd call it. It's just a bad habit. And then I just flick out like that. And I'd get a lot of kills like this. I'm just used to holding it tight and then flicking out. When I lowered it, I realized, oh, it's like a lot harder for me to flick from here to all the way over here on a lower sense. So I should aim in between, which is just what you should always do anyways. But it took me lowering my sensitivity to remember to do this. And it's very effective, right? No matter what sensitivity you play, high, low, in the middle, you should make sure that you're holding the angle like this. Because if you hold it like this, then like I said, you have to flick out. But if you hold it right here, they're going to walk out and then they'll walk in your crosshair and you have to make less adjustments. The way sensitivity plays into it is if I'm holding here and they swing wide, you have to recognize whether you're flicking too far or too short. And if it's too short, your sensitivity is too low. And if it's too high, then you'll flick like too far out, right? That's kind of how sensitivity plays into this. And I found myself lately, since I've been, you know, playing a little bit differently with my setup, I've been flicking like way out here. And that's what kind of like prompted this whole video. There's also a lot less tension in my hand when I'm aiming, but I don't think that's from the sensitivity. I think that's from me resting my whole arm on the desk, which is something you should try if you've never tried it and you have the space. Because playing with, I know some people play with just their wrist at the edge of the desk or play with like their forearm, like they play with this part on the desk. That's fine for a while, but for me, like I developed RSI about like right here, and I had to stop playing for a long time because I just couldn't. Like I just had so much pain in my arm from the way that I rested on the edge of the table that it just, I couldn't play. And it was really upsetting because I felt like I was actually getting somewhere. This is like around the time I quit Counter-Strike, and I was playing a lot of ESEA and I was grinding and I was doing really well, but like I wanted to play through the pain and I just couldn't. And it was really upsetting. I ended up just quitting CS after that. The only other thing you'll notice is that it's a little bit harder to move around the map just because you got to move your arm a lot more just to turn corners and maneuver and stuff like that. And throwing certain utility, you'll have to, you know, just move your arm a lot, right? It's something different. But I wanted to make this video because this is a pretty drastic change for me. And I'm sure I'll have more in the future to say about it because I've only been playing on the Sens for like a day and a half now. So I'm still getting used to it and figuring out all those little changes. Let me know if I missed anything down in the comments below. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and I will talk to you again very soon.